Hi guys, this is Dharmika, and I'll be talking about narcissism today. So I'll be dissecting what narcissism is, and then I'll be talking about how best to defend yourself when facing narcissists. So what narcissists is that they are uh, very injured individuals. They are individuals who are injured to the point where they have no reason to live other than to control other people. So their main core desire is to have absolute control over as many people as they can get their hands on. These individuals they have an inflated sense of ego, and they love to be the god of everything. So being the god of everything means they can create realities, create other people's realities for them, create their pain, create their pleasure, tweak things in their lives, create things in their lives, create illusions, and make them feel emotions. So they can manipulate them and make them react however they want. So that is what the god, the godlike quality is all about. And they love to control as many people as they want, as I said. And they do this by multiple techniques. One of them is by love bombing, which is acting like they have your best regard in interest. They have your best interest at heart, and acting like they are your friend. They would take care of you, like they have everything everything looked out for you. So they are like your carer. They assume the position, the appearance of your carer. And they can also go for the seduction technique by making you physically attached to them, and make you long for them. And then they can also use the neglect technique, which is choosing moments where they choose to not listen to what you say and choose to neglect your entire existence, so that you would feel like you have done something wrong and feel like you need to compensate for that wrong that you did to them. So they try to induce guilt in you, guilt and shame, so that you would do whatever they want. You would do their bidding. You would serve them as your god. And then there is this other technique called the gaslighting, confusing, switching between decisions in seconds. Within seconds, they would switch between one decision and the other, just to confuse you, just to create multiple realities and switching between them for you, so that you would be utterly confused, so that you would not trust yourself, so that you would doubt reality, and you would just surrender yourself utterly to their control, because they know what's best. They create your reality, but they will never let you know that. So these are the three techniques that they will use, which is love bombing or seduction, silence, treatment, or neglect, and the gaslighting, switching between realities, and confusing technique. So one way to defend yourself from a narcissist is to stand up for yourself within yourself. And that takes a lot of self-belief. So to do that, we first have to understand the three common reactions when dealing with a narcissist. A narcissist loves to play games. They see their prey as uh, games, as mice that they play games with. So they will make sure that you are provoked enough such that you would feel that you need to fight for yourself. You need to voice out your opinion. You need to take back what's yours. You need to assert your points across. You will feel like you need to confront them. You need to make them understand where you're coming from. You need to make them know that it's not okay to do that in the future ever again. So they would create a situation where they would escalate it such that you would need to fight for yourself. And that is called the trapping procedure, the trapping phase, where they set out traps for you so that you would react to them in a physical manner, in a overt manner. So one of the reactions would be to react overtly by telling them off, by physically being violent with them, not physically but verbally, so that they would stop their behavior, their unacceptable behavior. So when you do that, uh, that's when they strike back. So they would use your reaction against you. So with a normal human being, with a normal, healthy, functional human being, at the end of a conflict resolution interaction where you try to put your point across, where you try to reason with them and try to speak the truth with them, try to reach a point where both parties have conflict resolution through compromise, that would end in peace, that would end in you successfully preserving yourself, successfully preserving your beliefs, your values, your integrity, your belief, your reality of what's right and reasonable. Whereas with a narcissist, if you try and reason with them, because it's originally a trap and they originally want to plot against you, any form of reason will be used against you, and at the end of the interaction you will feel frustrated, you will feel confused, you will feel like you have lost a sense of self, and you will feel manipulated. So that is what narcissist does. They try to make you fight, and if you do, they use it against you. So that is one of their first reactions, that is to overtly fight back, overtly slay the demon and take back what's yours, so to speak. So the second way of reacting to a narcissist is the gray rock method, which is to have completely no emotional involvement, no emotional entanglement with the narcissist, to not engage with them, to let things go, to let them be. So this method can work really well if you understand a lot about the narcissist's behavior, if you understand what they are trying to do and what they are all about, and all of their plots and everything that they are trying to do, and who they really are. But if you don't really understand what narcissism is all about, it could be very dangerous to use this method. So, for example, a narcissist can try to convince you into thinking that you are being complacent, that you are being negligent, and not being you're being negligent about your well-being, and not being careful, not taking care of yourself, and allowing abuse, and allowing yourself to be around shameful behavior. So they can really induce a lot of shame and guilt on you, on your part, just because you're not reacting, you're not fighting back, you're not doing anything about the abuse. So it can really cause a lot of psychological damage to you if you're not careful with the gray rock method. The third reaction when facing a narcissist is to fight fire with fire, is to to face them using their own strategies against them. And this is would be considered the worst possible strategy to use, because as Melanie from Thriver TV said, to go into battle with a narcissist is like going into battle with someone who has grenades, atom bombs, and napalm strapped to their body. And what that means is to go into battle with someone who has an inflated ego, who would rather take you out with them, who would rather self-destruct and have you be destroyed together with them, than to lose a fight, is foolish. Is not worth it, because you would be putting yourself in danger. You would be putting your integrity, your sense of being, your soul in danger. You would be putting everything in danger. So the only way to have a fair fight with a narcissist is to have completely no conscience, to have your soul gutted, away from you, gutted out of you, to have no conscience, to have no shame, to have no guilt, and to have no sense of self. That is the only way to have a fair fight with a narcissist, because only with no conscience can you develop an instinctual wit, incredible intelligence, the demonic power to harm someone instinctively, and to have the level of agility and wit to cause harm to someone, only if you have no conscience. So to defend yourself from a narcissist, you need to stand up for yourself within yourself. And what that means is to be against the narcissist from your mind, from internally, and not support their efforts to harm you. So to do that, we first have to break the cycle of abuse. So immediately after causing harm and abusing you, the narcissist would gaslight, and they would wear the mask and assume the false appearance of a caring mother, a caring friend, or a very helpful individual that would try to, and they would try to tell you that they only have your best interest at heart. They were only trying to help, they were only trying to look out for you, things like that. And that is very hard to look past, because the mask is very convincing, and they will try their best to make themselves look like the caring friend or the caring parent that you really want and that you really desire. And they will give you all the approval, all the validation that you want as that character that they are assuming. So to get past that, we have to remind ourselves, and because of that false self, it allows them to have control over us. Because if we as the victim continue to believe in this false self, then they will have the power to constantly attack us, abuse us, and then gaslight us, and we will kind of believe them that they don't really mean it, or they don't really mean harm to us, and that causes the cycle to continue. So to break free from this cycle, we have to constantly remind ourselves of the nasty things that they did, constantly remind ourselves of how untrustworthy they are, and remind ourselves of their unacceptable behavior. Now this is behaviors like pathological lying, behaviors like being sadistic and trying to cause chaos in our lives. This is like really unacceptable behavior. I'm not saying behavior that are just bad, behavior that is really, really cruel and evil. So those are the behaviors that you have to watch out for, abusive behaviors. So those are the ones that you should recognize and not support. So once you break free from the cycle, you have to recognize that they are evil, that these narcissists, they are evil, and they want to bring you down, they want to destroy you, they want to kill your sense of self, and they want to totally eat your soul, basically. So once we've recognized the enemy, we will be able to separate ourselves from the narcissist, and we will be able to break the cycle of abuse. And then we will be able to recognize and say to ourselves that I do not support behaviors that are harmful to me in the moment. So when any abuse in the future, any abuse that they direct at us, that the narcissist direct at us, we can say to ourselves in the moment, we can recognize and say to ourselves in the moment that I do not support behaviors that are harmful to me. And also we have to recognize in the moment as well and say to ourselves that there is no possible way that I can achieve peace when I'm around a narcissist. So the way around this is that we have to understand that the narc will make you think that you have a choice, that you had a choice, and you made the wrong one. And that is why you are feeling terrible at the end of an interaction with a narcissist. But in reality, they are the ones creating the predicament, creating your predicament. They are the ones creating the obstacles and manipulating you such that you are feeling the way that you're feeling at the end of the interaction. So whatever choice that you make when you are around them, you are going to feel bad at the end of it. So there is no way to acquire peace when you're around them. So another way to defend yourself or recover quickly from narcissistic injury is to have compassion for evil. So what that is we have to understand that evil equals suffering. So evil either has, is, or will suffer. So evil has suffered in the past. That means that the narc has been tortured until they feel the need to put people down, and that deserves compassion. But also another case is that the narcissist is suffering, which means they either feel envy, anger, or hate very intensely, and they are very sensitive to other people's actions and achievements, and that leaves them having this need to act it out in evil ways. So that can be very painful and torturing for that individual. So it deserves compassion. And another thing is evil will suffer, which means they will either have to stomach the guilt of having harmed another human being, or if they don't feel the guilt, if they have done it too many times, they will feel emptier and emptier each time that they commit this hurting on others. And eventually they will feel completely addicted to this abuse, completely addicted to hurting others, to causing harm to others, and they will feel tortured until they manage to successfully torture another person. So that deserves our compassion as well. So having that understanding that evil equals suffering, any human being that is evil is enduring this huge amount of suffering, and having compassion for that saves us and recovers our narcissistic injury very fast. So I hope you will find these two methods helpful the next time you detect a narcissist in your life. So to recap, we have the method of standing up for yourself from within, and that is to recognize that the narcissist is not your friend, that the narcissist is actively plotting evil against you, and we have to also recognize and say to ourselves that we are not supporting any behavior that is harmful to ourselves. And we also have to recognize and say that it is not possible to acquire peace when we are around the narcissist. So by recognizing and saying these things to ourselves, we are actively standing up for ourselves. And the second line of defense is to have compassion for evil beings, because evil equals suffering. So it's very important to remember when dealing with narcissists that there are no mistakes, there are only lessons. This is because they are unstable, they are very unstable beings, and sometimes there's nothing that we can do to stop them from creating chaos, from crazy making. So yeah, so that's why these two techniques is very effective, because they are personal, because that is nothing that they can touch, because we have full power to control our own beliefs. We have full power to control how we perceive their behavior, how we process their actions towards us. We have power over that. So I wish you well in your journey in dealing with the narcissist, in detecting them, in protecting yourself from them, because it is very important to protect ourselves from psychological harm, from emotional distress, from crazy making, because it can affect our health. It can affect our psychological health, and it can affect our physical health, and it's very important to save ourselves from such a situation. Be sure to like if you like this video, hit the like button below, and subscribe if you think this content is relevant to you, or if you think you want to hear more about this subject, which is about narcissism. And my next video will be about awareness and acceptance of the narc's insane behavior, and repelling the narc under the guise of evil. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.